Okay, it's another one of these videos where I'm having to record the audio part of it after it's already happened. So in today's video, we've got games against Arsenal in the Premier League, and then a slightly spicy one against Inter Milan in the Champions League quarter-final. What could possibly go wrong with that? I mean, more wrong than everything already has gone wrong, obviously. How you doing, everybody, and welcome to part 20 of Club 3 here on MyCareer on FM23. I'm Stu. Thank you for joining me in today's video, where we've got games against Arsenal in the Premier League and against Inter Milan in the Champions League quarter-final second leg. And if you are excited to see how those games go, and if you want to cheer me up as well, because goodness knows I need it, then please do leave a like on the video for me and subscribe so you don't miss any of the nonsense that comes out of this face right here, muted or otherwise. Since you were last with us, everything's coming up. Millhouse is still going very, very well. We beat Wolves 3-2. We drew against Chelsea 1-1. We beat Newcastle 2-1. Beat Everton 3-1. And then beat Inter Milan 4-2 with an Orlando hat-trick. He has started to chip in with a couple of goals here or there. I say that. I am looking. And I do think that after the first goal he scored on his debut, then he went injured, they're the first goals he has, in fact, scored for us since. So ignore that last comment. It's a bit silly. I thought he'd scored more at this point. Obviously, he hasn't. But, yeah. He scored a hat-trick. That's the main important thing, if I'm being honest. Bruno Guimaraes did get a late goal, which did kind of sully things a little bit for me. But it is what it is. But the first thing we have to challenge today is Arsenal, who at this point are one of our top rivals. United are not far behind them, but Arsenal do have a 6-point gap over them. And their main man, Prosper Kronberg, for some reason, he wasn't down as being in the starting 11. So I looked to see whether he was injured. He wasn't. He just looked tired. So they were obviously resting him, which, why would you rest your star striker when you're playing against a team who are above you in the league and that team is first? It's utter nonsense to me. In terms of goals at this point, Pinamonti had taken over as the top goal scorer. Good times, very good times indeed. The question was, could he stay there? But this is the 11 we were going to take through to the Arsenal game. It's Hoy and Hall in goal, Jimenez, Guardian, Badiashile and Thomas in defence. Tapia and Lavia in the middle with Palmer, Veloso and Shelder up, supporting Pinamonti up front. It is what I would consider at this point of the season to be our strongest 11. Yeah, it really is. It genuinely is. Kuchiyara on his day is good. Price on his day is good as well. But Cole Palmer had earned his place in the team at this point with his heroics in the last episode. Now, it's worth pointing out, just in case you're wondering what's going on, if you haven't watched the last episode, slight audio issues with OBS. Namely, I updated it, and for some reason when I updated it, it actually took off my microphone as an audio input source. So, is it input or output? I think input. You know what I mean, anyway. My microphone wasn't connected, basically. So although it had its power light on and it was suggesting to me that it wasn't muted, it was in fact not connected. So I'm having to do post-commentary on the last episode, this episode, the next episode, and then I've got to try and work out what to do about the transfer special, because quite a lot happened in that transfer special. So that's going to be a little bit different. I've got an idea of what I'm going to do, but before I can even do that, I've got to record this episode, the next episode, edit them all together so I'm comfortable and happy, and then move on to that one. So it's not ideal, really. But we start things off with an early chance against Arsenal. Remember, these are our nearest rivals, and I actually went back and looked. We'd only beaten them once in the last few seasons. Well, since we started here, actually, we'd only beaten them the once. They have a better record against us, so it was all down to us trying to kind of break that curse today, and trying to make sure that we get a bit more of a foothold in the Premier League title race. Right, Shelderup gets in here, goes to Joe Veloso. Joe Veloso can't get it in, and Palmer tries to put it across the goal, recognising he didn't have the angle for the shot. Tries to go across the goal, doesn't work, and it remains 0-0. I will apologise. I am going to be looking down every now and then, just at the screen here, to remind myself of what's going on. Kind of the same way I would when I'm watching a game anyway, but more so because I actually don't know what's happening. I'm trying to remind myself as well. I did also have a cheeky glance at my phone. Apologies, I know that's not professional. We've won a penalty, by the way. Joe Veloso gets tackled down, and it's going to be Pinamonti who will step up to try and convert it. So he steps up. I think it's Pinamonti anyway. I'm like 90% sure it is. It usually is Pinamonti, unless certain of the players are on the pitch. It is indeed. He steps up, and it's Aaron Ramsdale with the clutch save. And at this point, I'm thinking, oh, here we go. It's about to happen, isn't it? It's about to happen. I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned indeed. But it's one of those things. I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that we have the ability to come back, because we've shown it so many times. But it's a big game, and it's a big lorry that's just gone past my house, which has made a lot of noise. Apologies if you've just heard that. I still need to get the audio balance right in this house. I've got the window open at the moment because it's boiling hot here, and I don't really want to close it. Anthony comes in, puts the ball in the back of the net, makes it 1-0. Ryan McArdle with the assist. And yeah, bit disappointed at this stage, if I'm honest, because we've had a chance to go 1-0 up and we've fluffed it. And I can't even shout at the boys because I've already shouted at them. 1-0 down against the Arsenal. Bit frustrated by this, if I'm honest with you. Anthony, the at this point Manchester United outcast, they threw him out, went to Arsenal, and Arsenal having a chance to win the league. Very similar to this season, which they didn't obviously do in the end, but they do have an opportunity here to end the Man City dominance, which has been ridiculous in this save. Liverpool, I think, are the only team who've won the Premier League other than them, and that was only on one occasion. The rest of the time, it has been seas of sky blue everywhere when it comes to the Premier League. I blame Erling Haaland. But yeah, Pinamonti's having a shocker since that penalty miss. We get to half-time, 1-0. I'm trying to think of what the best thing to say to the boys here is. We say that one, and we go around and just have a shout at a few people. I'm trying to remember whether we take Pinamonti off or not, because I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking I would have taken him off here. But also, he's got the opportunity and the ability to potentially get it back, but then we shouted him a bit too much. So we bring Orlando on because we know Orlando has got goals in him. We've seen it in the last game. So we decide to go with that. And I'm just deciding here whether to go with anything else. I can't remember whether I do or whether I just stick with what we've got on the pitch. I feel like I might just end up sticking with what we've got. But I'm looking at the defence because they've not had a good time in the slightest. I'm just thinking whether we maybe freshen things up. I'm also not very, very happy with Lavia. So we bring Ward-Prowse on predominantly for his set-piece acumen. We know he's got a good set-piece in him. He's one of the best at them. So we go ahead with that. We bring him on, and that's the last change that we make before half-time. 2 substitutions in the hope that we can just spark the game into life. Saying that, we have dominated them. So there is frustration from me that we've dominated them and not been able to convert it. So Ward-Prowse with a great slide tackle, winning the ball there and then losing it immediately. Remember, Pavlovic, of course, one of our former players, playing in the Arsenal back line in this game. So this is very weird because I'm watching the game like I would normally watch a game on FM. But I'm thinking about what changes I would make, and I can't make them. Like, there's things that I would have potentially done there that I didn't decide to do at the time, which is quite unusual. I wouldn't be surprised if I end up doing them. But I vaguely remember what the result of this game is. I actually don't remember too much. I obviously remember how the season ends. But then we do something really silly, and we give that penalty away there. Wait and see what comes of it. So, we just completely bowl the player down. Penalty review, and it is given. So we've got the potential of going down by 2-0 here. I am absolutely livid at this point. And it is going to be, I can't remember who it is. Whoever that is, I couldn't see his name. I think it's one of their centre-backs. Rualt. Thank you, game, for knowing that I couldn't see it. So we make the decision here to make some more changes because we need to do something drastic. We go to 2 up top. We decide to put Price up there alongside Orlando. We decide as well that Palmer probably should be the one to go there instead. Price goes out wide because Price actually, weirdly, although he's mainly a striker, doesn't play well as a striker. He's much better out as an inside forward cutting in. Doesn't like leading the line at all. So we go to that. We decide that we need to just get goals at this point. And we need them kind of quickly because we're at 54 minutes, 55 minutes near enough. We need to do something. I decided to skip the replay of the penalty because why would I want to watch that? We do a bit of tactical fiddling here. The 2 up top, by the way, is the thing that I probably would have done earlier just to try and get back into the game. And if anything, I would probably argue with myself that I left it a little bit late to do so in this game. Because had I done it earlier, we could have possibly, you know, got ahead a bit more. Again, struggling to remember the result of this game. I can't remember if we lose, draw or win. I genuinely can't. I don't think we lose this game. Spoiler, don't think we lose this game. But I can't remember. Ball over the top goes nowhere. Ramsdale picks it up. And then we've just got those two players just kind of surrounding him, not giving him many short options. So we just try and force him to hit it long, because we have faith that we can win the ball. We does that in the end, and I do think we win the ball. We do indeed. Price gets it then, goes back to the defenders. Guardian now looking for options. I mean, it's worrying because Guardian is so good, but then he goes and does that. But Guardian then makes up for it with a stunning tackle there. Starts to run forward, gets it to Palmer. Palmer chips it to Orlando. Orlando kind of forced wide, trying to look for what to do. I'm signalling, cross it in, gets it to Price, gets it to Ward-Prowse, and James Ward-Prowse, of all people, the super sub, puts it in the back of the net. Doesn't score many, Ward-Prowse, especially when it's not a free kick. But he scores an important goal there, and it's 2-1 with 20 minutes to go. Huge game, huge moment. We need to do something. So I go back and think about substitutes. And I'm hovering over it, but I decide to let this highlight play out. So Ramsdale hoofs it forward again. And again, I think we try and win it. We don't actually win it on that occasion. Brown manages to break through the back line, but then Badiashile gets it to shoulder up. Shoulder up. Big ball forward, looking for Cole Palmer. And just utter nonsense here. Ends up with a goal. Orlando puts it in the back of the net. He's injured, but at this point, I don't care. My arms are in the air like this because we've gone and done it. The tactic has worked. Got it back to 2. Now I can't. Now I'll be honest with you. Like I said before, I was fairly confident that we didn't lose this game. I knew that we didn't, but I can't remember whether we stick with a 2-2 draw or whether we win. That's the bit I don't remember. So, we'll see. We'll see what the next highlight brings. But Orlando just in the right place at the right time. Cole Palmer, I mean, he doesn't get a good rating in this game, but he put the work in for that goal. He really, really did. We've still got substitutions to make. Well, I've got one substitution to make as well. Orlando's got a potential foot injury. We don't want to risk it. So I end up putting Price up front. And we bring Jay Leathan on, who's just come back from injury, just to see whether we can force something with him. Because he just has a bit of magic in him. He is a wonder kid. Around this period as well, I'm fairly confident it hasn't happened yet. In terms of the videos that I didn't stuff up the audio to. We did get, I think it's 4 or 5 players on the next gen top 50 list of wonder kids. And I forget who they are because I forgot to save the email. I'm so annoyed at myself for it. But we've got some absolutely stellar talents. One of them is our goalkeeper, Sam Roberts. Shoulder up goes in here and so close to getting a winner. My head is in my hands at this point. One of them is Sam Roberts, our backup goalkeeper. I'm sure one of them is Paris Walker-Hughes, one of our wingers out on loan. Michael Holdford might be one of them. Don't think it is. But thank God Abaje. Remember him? He's one of them. He's on the next gen list. And not only is he on the list, he's number 8 on the list. He's in the top 10 wonder kids. Going to keep an eye on him in the future. But we do end up drawing the game. It's a late comeback, but it's a comeback nonetheless. Who knows how important that might be for either team. But Arsenal had a real chance to go ahead of us there. And they do kind of bottle it. So the question now is, who bottles it from here? As you can see, we lead by, I think that's 4 points, or is that 4 points or 3 points? We lead by a decent amount though. So basically, it's on us to bottle it, but it's also on them to try and keep the pace up. That's the thing. Right, Orlando's injured for a few days. It's not the end of the world. So what we're going to do, I rest a few players here. We're going to go ahead and look at the intergame, and we're going to see whether we can get past them to an unlikely Champions League semi-final. Fingers crossed we can make it happen. We are back for the game against Inter Milan. Remember, we do have an advantage going into this game. So we're going to hopefully maintain that advantage and get through and manage to go through to the quarterfinals or the semi-finals? Semi-finals. We're already in the quarterfinals, Stu. Behave yourself. This is the team we're going to be using. It's Hoyne in goal, Jimenez, Guardian, Badiashile and Ait-Nouri in defence. Tapia and Ward-Prowse in midfield with Price, Cucciara and Shoulder up supporting Pinamonti up front. Mix things up a little bit, having players like Ward-Prowse in there and Cucciara just to rest, rotate, things like that. But we're still relying on some heavy hitters in there. Fingers crossed we can't get through. It is this episode that I was originally going to tell you about the kids we've got in the next gen list. I've actually edited that part out because I've already spoken about it during the last game. So we're talking about it. Injuries to Orlando and Tino Livramento do mean that they will miss this game. But yeah, I mean, he's not injury prone, Orlando, but he was just getting so many knocks, which was just a little bit frustrating. Just a little bit. But yeah, we also rested Cole Palmer as well. Why we rested Cole Palmer, I don't know. Because, okay, he didn't perform against Arsenal. I don't thing. But, you know, he's still a good player. I mean, he was very influential in getting helping Orlando get the second goal that equalised. So, actually, that might have been a mistake on my part, thinking back now. But, yeah, what can you do? But we're going to this game, again, with a 4-2 advantage. So, realistically, we should be blitzing them. Or that would at least be my hope. But you never know. You never know. You never know. But we start off from the kickoff, actually. We just go straight into a highlight, which always worries me. Because I always think that means there's a pumping coming. Remember, the first leg we actually were at home. So we won at home, and then we have the away leg second. I much prefer, as I think most people do usually, having the home leg second. Playing in front of your home fans at the second game in the tie is usually, in my opinion, the biggest advantage you can possibly have. But we didn't have that advantage, so we just go into it and we just see what we can do. But as you can see, Inter playing it around nicely. It's a lovely ball in through to Lautaro Martinez, but Guiri gets on it. Guiri goes just wide. Bad omen. It was actually a good save from Hoyenhal, but is that a bad omen of things to come? I mean, Lautaro Martinez, dead on the floor. I was dying with, not laughter, but I was trying to contain myself because he's just lying on the floor. I mean, surely we could just cut to the next bit. I could cut this as well. I'm not going to. I want you to see just how ridiculous this is. Because he's just lying there. Vizio's on the pitch. And then it gets up like that. Teleports back to where he was. And then sprints across the bit. I mean, if that's not a dive, I don't know what one is. Utter madness. But eventually, Inter gets to take the corner. They whip it in. And, well, we know what the highlight didn't end there, don't we? Denzel Dumfries makes it 1-0 early on. 4-2 becomes 4-3. I'm slightly in panic stations, but I'm very aware we are still leading in the tie. So, I'm not worrying too much. I'm concerned, but I'm not worrying too much. I'm thinking we're matching them at the moment. If you look at stats, okay, we're not as on target as they are, but we are having opportunities. So, let's just calm ourselves down. Not panic. Everything will be fine. All will be well. He says. Famous last words. I think you might agree. But we do still have some control of the ball here. As you can see, Tapia getting the ball from Ward-Prowse, passing it out wide to Jimenez. And the aim now basically is to settle down and try and get a goal. But our passing is letting us down a little bit, and so is our tackling. But Badiashile gets on the ball here, but only gets it as far as Dumfries, the goal scorer, into Lautaro Martinez. Remember, Lautaro Martinez, who went off with the fake injury because he's a cheat in this game. Nothing against him in real life. I want to make that perfectly clear. But you saw the footage. And it's 2-0. And all of a sudden, after less than 20 minutes, we're level in the tie. All of that good work in the home leg, completely undone. And I'm a very cross boy at this point, thinking, what do we need to do? Because with hemorrhage 2 goals, the minimum we now need to do is to stop the bleeding. We need to stop the goals being scored, and we need to try and get one back. Pinamonti has a golden opportunity there, and I am head in my hands like this. I mean, I still can't believe he's missed that. He's not even got it on target. Pinamonti, second top goal scorer in our first season here, top goal scorer in season 2. He's currently second or first or third or whatever he is. He's in the top 3 of the scoring charts for this season at this point in the save as well. And he goes and does that. So we made the decision. It worked in the last game. It's going to work in this game, hopefully. We're going to go 2 up top. It's just which 2 that we go with. Obviously, Orlando is injured, so he's not in the squad. So we ended up going with Price and Palmer. We just take off Pinamonti because just what's the point of him? Going to miss chances like that. What's the point of him? So we make 4 changes. It's a lot to do in one go at half-time. However, it's fresh legs. It's fresh energy. We're going attacking. We decide to go down the wings and try and get the guys out wide to get the ball in. So we're relying on shoulder up. And I can't remember who we brought on. I know we brought Cole Palmer on, but I think it was Lethan who was brought on as the winger. So we're relying on those guys just to get the ball into the 2 forwards, and we're just hoping that they can get the ball in the back of the net. Of course, the first highlight is an Inter highlight, because of course it is. I roughly know what happens in this game. I just can't remember exactly how it happens, you know. But at this point, there's still hope. You know, we're still hopeful. It's 4-4. Okay, we've conceded 2 goals, but Inter did very similar in the first leg. they came back into it. So we do a bit more tactical tweaking now. It feels like all is lost here, but there's hope. There is hope. So Guiri makes a bit of a pig's ear of that. Hoyenhal comes and claims it, and we're just waiting for a chance to counter-attack. So he finds shoulder up with the big kick. Shoulder up is surrounded by players, ends up getting tackled. It goes out for a throw-in. Again, there is still hope. We are not losing the tie. We are losing the game, but not the tie. So we decided to go through some of the tactical stuff here just to try and work out how to stop some of these boys. You can see some of the things I've done here. Some of it, I've listened to my assistant manager's recommendations. Some of it, I have kind of made my own judgment based on player stats and abilities and stuff. I know different people have their own opinions on this. This might be something I choose not to do in the future, because I want to try and make the game in the future a little bit more difficult for myself. Because, you know, we shouldn't be winning, you know, the games that we've won. We shouldn't be getting to... I mean, the Carabao Cup final last season, okay. Winning it this season, okay. But to have a second place, a fifth place, and then to be at the top of the table in the third season, bear in mind when we joined the team, they were in, well, just about outside the relegation zone. They just about survived. It's unusual. I'll grant you that. It's one of those that probably shouldn't happen. But I don't know. I think, you know, I do my own training. I do my own tactics for the most part. And we concede a third goal. I think when you do a lot of that stuff, you can mitigate a lot of issues. And when you recruit properly as well, which I think I have done. I've made some absolute balls ups in my time, trust me. But yeah, I think that might be a way of trying to make it more difficult with the kind of the tactical thing. But at this point, going back to the game for a second, oh my word, I am absolutely distraught that this team has conceded 3 goals against a team that really, in the first leg, looked kind of average. Yes, they scored 2 against us, but they did look quite average, and we absolutely steamrolled them. So I'm looking here thinking, what on earth do I do? What on earth do I do? So we bring on Joe Veloso, we make him more attacking, and then we just go a little bit mad, and we change the system completely. So Veloso turns into, at the moment, a box-to-box midfielder. I think I changed into a centre mid on attack. I go automatic by accident. And we put the 2 wing-backs further forward into proper wing-back positions. We also bring Tapia down, so he is a proper holding midfielder as a deep line playmaker. We're just going all guns blazing. I've done similar stuff to this before. I debated for a second putting Tapia back as a centre-back and going to a good old-fashioned 3/5 at the back. You know I likes me a 3 or 5 at the back. You know I've used it to relative success with Tranmere and also in my Liverpool rebuilds. There's no way at all I'm going to remember to put a link to that. I'm just not, because I'm just so done with these videos at the moment. Not videos in general, just these ones where we've got the issue. And Cole Palmer gives us a chance. 5-5, it's 3-1 on the day. We have a chance. I'm just imploring the boys to carry on at this point. We've got one opportunity. We just need one more goal. We lose 3-2 on the night, and we sneak through. That'd do it for me. I'd be delighted. The last thing I want at this point is extra time. Because extra time, with the way that they've played against us today, we're going to get mugged. Bearing in mind we made all our subs early, so they're actually going to have a slightly fresher team. But if we get to extra time, we get an extra sub. So it's a bit of a trade-off. So I'm thinking ahead, thinking, right, let's get through to at least extra time, but actually we want to go and get a goal. So, and we know we've got the ability in this team. We've seen it time after time. We can get goals in this team with little issue. So Thomas comes forward here, gets it to Veloso. Veloso out to shoulder up looking for options. Runs forward, gets inside, gets it to Price. Palmer can't quite get there, loses possession, but it only comes far away. It doesn't even make it to Jimenez. It goes out of play. I'm literally just dying all over the place at this point because I'm like, oh my God, we're getting so close to getting the ball in the right area. But we're either getting really unlucky or their defensive display is superb. Right, Jimenez gets it to Palmer. Jimenez again tries to make sure he doesn't lose the ball. Doesn't. Gets it to Cresswell. Cresswell into Badiashile, but it's a poor pass. Poor take from Badiashile. And Intercom again. And I'm just worried here that this might be the final death knell. And, well, they do score again. And it's 4-1. So in my head, I'm thinking either we're going out or the irony will be we'll match their score from the first leg and take us at extra time. That's what I'm hoping happens. And as you can see, what actually happens is that we are going to get knocked out of the Champions League and not have to worry about that for the rest of the season. Yeah. I weren't happy about that. I weren't happy. Now, to stress, I'm not bothered about us getting knocked out in the quarterfinal. That's fine. The fact we got to the quarterfinal in the first place, it's a plus on last season. Even getting through the league stage last season was a big plus. So, nothing but thumbs up from me on that. It's the nature of being knocked out that I'm not happy with. The fact that we were so many goals up. But we're 2 goals up from the first leg and we just capitulated in the seconds. Just absolutely capitulated. If we have the away leg seconds, we really, really do struggle. Mentally, we just really, really struggle for it. Maybe there's a tactical thing I could have done. Who knows? Certainly not me. Otherwise, I'd have done it. But yeah, that's kind of it for this video. I'm not happy, so I'm going around finding everyone, as you can see. May cause a problem or two, but I do decide to lay down the law a little bit, and I'm not afraid of doing that in FM. Bit of a TED talk from me. I'm really not afraid of doing that because I think sometimes you will get the message that says your recent disciplinary measures have motivated this player. I mean, it's not a bad thing to do. Sometimes you do upset 1 or 2 players, but I think if you're going to upset players, give them a chance to kind of unupset themselves. But beyond that, they just need to grow up and learn, really. You know, if we all make mistakes, we all should be told how bad those mistakes are. But yeah, that leads us to when we're going to come back in the save. I mean, I'm imagining future me is going to go to that screen in a moment. What I end up deciding is we end up going with, I think it's the, I'm trying to think, it's Norwich or Watford or something like that. We play a team like Swansea, that's who it is. Swansea and Liverpool. We decided to come back for the end of the season. I'm really glad that screen came up then because I was really struggling to remember. Now, what I didn't take into account is Bournemouth in the FA Cup semi-final. I knew it was FA Cup. I didn't realise it was semi-final. So we skipped that game. So I didn't consider that. The FA Cup final, I'm just going to let you know when it's going to be. It's going to be between the Swansea and Liverpool game. Let's just say that maybe if we get to the FA Cup final, we'll be showing you that. But if not, it's Swansea and Liverpool. So those are the 2 games you have to look forward to see whether we're going to clinch the Premier League title. Because as it stands, we are still top of the table. If Past Stu can show me the table now, he would be doing me an absolute solid. He's going to show me Arsenal. He's going to show me their fixtures. Right, well, there's the table. You can see the point difference there. I am going to go away from it and look at the fixtures here. Basically, I look at who's got the worst running. Turns out, actually, we've got the best running. Arsenal's is slightly worse than ours. And Manchester United, who are right around us at this point as well, their running is worse than both of ours put together. So, fingers crossed. But you'll have to wait until the next video to see whether we manage to do it. So, until then, thank you very much for watching. Remember to give a like on the video if you enjoyed, and if you feel sorry for me for having to do these post commentaries. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any Football Manager content coming up in the future. I've been Stu, you guys have been awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.